Hey everyone, how's it going? Apologize for a few folks who wanted to get in. We actually have a full group today, so. Perhaps later in the day here we can, or after we get this quest done, we can do raid or something like that. I don't know. Figure it out. How's it going, everyone? We're going to get started here in just a second once I make sure everything's working okay. I see myself on YouTube. Ah, there we go. And now I'm on Twitch. Hello, Backlagore, Civic Spoon, Jeffrey. I heard there were some new sexy cosmetics in the last live stream. There was indeed. Yes. You can find that on YouTube and Twitch. Hello and welcome to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/DungeonsandDragons/live. I am DDO's Community Manager Cordovan. We are live on Caneth, week 1. Although we did do Friday, but 2 weeks on the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream per server. We are on Caneth. We are going to be running some more quests and Trials of the Archons, wrapping things up here, and then figuring out what we want to do next. Plenty of quests in this level range. I am currently on my level 13 Paladin. And digging what's going on here. So we're going to, like I say, run this stuff. Today I'll be happy to answer your questions. We can talk a little bit about the status of Update 34 and what's going on there. Things like that. Talk about the upcoming bonus, which is +5 Treasure Hunters boost and a 5% VIP XP. That's going to kick off tomorrow, late morning, run through the weekend. Get shut off first thing Monday morning. The Treasure Hunters boost, in case you don't know, adds that number to your loot roll. So, for example, if you roll a 10 on the loot table, it'll be a 15. And this does stack with the Treasure Hunters elixirs that are available in the DDO store and, you know, Daily Dice and however else you get those things. +5% VIP XP is just what you think. That's an oldie but goodie. So, the status of Update 34 is we are still hoping to get it out this week. Unfortunately, you know how last week I was saying, well, as long as the build doesn't have a problem, the build had a problem. So we do a build overnight that basically creates a live candidate branch. Because there's a development branch where change lists are coming in. They're doing development work, not just on Update 34, but everything else coming forward as they work on it. And I hate to say this, but the reality is true. Our build broke last night. It did not work. So we have to do a rebuild. What that means is that it's going to be about another 24 hours or so. So tonight, probably 7, 8 o'clock Eastern time, that build process should be done. QA is going to be actually working through the night tonight, doing some work on that. So hopefully we'll be able to get you the update perhaps as soon as tomorrow, but I'm going to guess most likely Friday. Things are looking pretty good. It's just that, like I said, the build had an issue, and it had an issue because we were doing what's called a, well, I don't know officially what it's called, but at least among the team here we call it a clobber merge, where that's where we manually add in some change lists, and something went wrong in that process, so it didn't build correctly. So, you know, the original thought was it was going to be perhaps Wednesday, but that didn't work out. So we were at least thinking Thursday, provided the build worked overnight, but the build didn't work overnight. So, could still happen on Thursday. because for the most part, things have been QA'd and checked at this point. It's just a matter of making sure this particular build is working correctly. And assuming that that works out, we're going to get it out as soon as we can. Could be as soon as Thursday, but we actually have a meeting at like 3:30 today to kind of discuss this. My guess is it's probably going to be Friday before update 34 is released. But stay tuned, we'll have the official downtime on that as soon as we're in a position to do so. The unfortunate reality of the software development world is sometimes things don't go as planned. Welcome to hell, what can I get you? It's not that bad. It's just bad timing. Really. So, it's the way it goes.
The barracks gate slides open, revealing a passage leading up into the heart of the Devil's Fortress.
So anyway, that's the current state of update 34. We do have all the Reaper changes in that were discussed on the forums. We did scale back a lot of the things on the Reaper enhancement trees as discussed on the forums, which is, we significantly dialed back the spell DCs that you could get from the Reaper trees. Same with the tactics DCs and one other thing. Is it spell resistance? Can't remember. There's a third one there. So a lot of that's going to be less than it was seen most recently on Lemania, but still in line with, like I said, what we said we were going to do during the discussions on the forums. Nothing really new there. We do have one change that's going to be coming here in update 34 that's worth mentioning, and this is something we put in just a little bit ago. And the way it's going to work is we're improving Sunder on enemies. So right now, mobs get, various boost to things on normal hard elite. And it's one of the more common ones they get. I mean, I think something like 500 monsters in the game have it, is Sunder, which can give you a -4 to your armor class if you're hit with it. But -4 to armor class doesn't mean much after a certain point. As you well know, if you've got you got 150 AC, 146 doesn't make much of a difference. So instead, it's being changed. And what it's being changed to is 10%. Oops. So, when you're going to be hit with mobs with this Thunder, it's going to be a 10% AC hit rather than a straight -4. So it's really scales more into into the epic levels and such. I don't know that we're going to improve Sunder at this point. For update 34, we are not rolling that out to the wider player base. It's something we will certainly be considering, though, but we didn't want to do it without further consideration about what that might mean. So, but ultimately, it's going to make a difference because right now, I mean, who cares about losing 4 AC when you're level 30, right? But it's going to make at least a little bit of a difference now. It's still only 10%, though. Can we get a change to trip, and will we get this Thunder change? So, when Torque made this change, I was like, the very first question I'm going to get is, what are we going to get it? And he was like, I don't know yet. So, there you go. It will not apply to the player Sunder ability, at least initially. But it wouldn't surprise me if we saw that kind of thing happen, perhaps down the road. Just because, you guys have the same issue where after a while, if you're into Sunder, doesn't make much of a difference. So. You're right that that's going to impact high AC characters more than evasion characters. That's true. It's true. But I think the thinking would be that evasion characters probably, you know, since they haven't invested in a high armor class as much, they're not getting the benefits of having that high armor class as much. So, you know. The idea is it should all balance out. Ah!
Below stands Eritrakos, leader of the Devil Eagles. To the tower, he tells his underlings. It's time for us to leave. Of course, Master, says the tiefling. Yet what is there for us on Eberron? It is Shavarath we seek to conquer.
Yeah, I mean, you know, ultimately, the goal isn't here to suddenly make armor class just a non-issue or a trivial thing. I mean, let's be real, even at 10%, when you're looking at, say, 150 AC, it's only 15, which, when it comes to the actual impact on their ability to hit you, is not particularly massive. So... Is the hit point in Reaper's tree being dialed back as well? Yes. Yes, it is. That's the third one I was thinking of. Is the Reaper tree only usable in Reaper difficulty? For the most part, yes. Typically the way it's working is the initial cores, the first initial core is applies to Reaper difficulty, and the subsequent cores apply wider, you know, throughout the game. But the statistical benefits are pretty minor.
The walls of this room are scorched and blackened, as if seared by some intense force.
Yeah, no, way to jinx update 34, I know, right? Yeah. You know, minus 30 at 300 AC really isn't going to hurt you that much. I mean, that is the intention. It just, the idea isn't to suddenly have a bunch of high AC characters, you know, get killed. It's just to have that monster Sunder ability at least have some use, rather than basically being a waste of time. Someone says, I saw in an update that Artificer might get a review this year. Can I expand on that a little bit? It's on our agenda. We would very much like to work on Artificer. We do have some other classes we're going to be working on first. I believe Favored Soul is probably next. We also want to work on Druid and Cleric. I'm not sure what the order of all these things are going to fall, you know, in terms of what's going to be first, second, third, fourth. It really tends to be a matter of what are we linking it to. Like, what what other work are we doing, and can we save some development time and resources by combining that work? I gotta go upstairs. Where's that upstairs now? Here we go. I'm actually going back to use that shrine. Sorry, I wasn't clear about what I'm actually doing here.
No problem.
Ah! Ah! Boom. Was there further discussion on the DDO team about the level limit for Reaper quests? The answer to that is yes. We did make some changes on the... that was announced on the forums and then implemented in the system itself, where we are expanding it to a +6.
A deep rumbling sound reverberates from the courtyard. The gate to the tower is now open.
So what that means is that provided you are within 6 levels, you're going to be able to yeah, I really need to get those spell points back. Where is that shrine? Remember, Jerry. Remember, where is the shrine? It's back here, and then take a left. Right? No? Dang it. Alright, yeah. I'm lost. I'm turned around. Where the hell's that shrine?
It's on the second floor on this side. There's a rare in there. Did you need?
What about
did you mean the one on the other side?
Yeah, I'm looking for the one in the puzzle room there.
That's on the east side. Oh, excuse me, the west side, top.
Okay. Well.
This is gonna be nasty.
True. But then we will have a shrine, a precious, precious shrine. I watch out for those shrine blades. So Reaper tree is an enhancement tree that everybody gets. Yes, in terms of having access to it. The way it's going to work is you will earn Reaper XP, and then that Reaper XP will be converted into Reaper points, which can be spent on the enhancement tree. What are the benefits of running a quest in Reaper difficulty? I heard better chances for named loot. Will there be other benefits like more XP? Yes, there is an XP bonus. There is a Reaper XP bonus. There is a higher chance to get named loot. There is a higher chance to get mythic bonuses on items. There is also a Reaper bonus on items that are available. Keep in mind, with Update 34, it is now going to be possible to see Mythic and Reaper bonuses on just about all named items in the game. So that's going to make a difference as well. Yeah, +6, I mean, you guys know where I sit on it. It's not
Well, let's wait
really
for
my
everybody.
place to give a personal opinion, but were it my personal opinion, it wouldn't be happening. I actually believe in the level cap. But hey, there are some times where I got to accept that the community is not going to agree with me, and that's okay. I think, while some people are saying, I'm doing it for the challenge, the reality is they are going to be doing it on the easiest challenge they can. And by increasing the level cap to +6, we are basically saying, why would you ever run something at level?
Can I advocate for AC?
Yeah? Well, yeah, high AC makes a big difference for sure.
Well, I mean, okay, so in end game, Legendary Elite towards Reaper, if your AC is going to matter at all, you have to focus so much on it that the majority of people are going to have like 120 to 150. And even at 383, I'm getting hit all the time. That 10% is not going to matter at all to someone at 150 because they're going to get hit every time at 150 or 140. But that 10% scales. So if it was like a base, 20 off your AC, that would be better than 10%.
Sure, I hear you. This change, though, is not specifically being done for Reaper difficulty, although you're right that it's going to have, AC is going to matter in Reaper difficulty, I think, as you state. But this is happening throughout the game. So the idea is really even just on regular high-level quests, like normal hard elite, -4 never really meant anything. And now it's going to mean at least a little bit of something.
I don't know, 10% from 150 will take you to 135, and I see no difference. It's like the diminishing returns for PRR. 135 to 150 are pretty much similar, but 380 and 345 or 355 is going to be a huge difference.
Sure.
But I'm always on the wrong end of the argument when it comes to DDO. I want colorful bears and nobody else does.
No, I mean, I do hear what you're saying. It ultimately, what you're saying is this is a little bit more punishing to people who invest more heavily in armor class. And I do think, you're not wrong there. But I think still 335 AC is better than 150 AC.
Yeah, but if your AC tanks are pretty much dead, and this will probably be the death nail.
I don't know. I see quite a few AC tanks.
Well, I mean, if you're spending all the resources to get an Eldritch Ritual on your armor and your shield just for 2 more AC, and that's going to get wiped out from Asunder.
Sure.
I thought Reaper was going to bring the tank back.
I do think it will, as a matter of fact, because I think the ability to manage aggro is going to be exceptionally important in Reaper difficulty. And to the extent that a tank is going to be able to help manage that aggro along with good CC, I do think it's going to make a difference.
And Abishai respond to her call.
The way I see it working, and maybe I'm wrong, but the way I see it working is a pretty heavy emphasis on crowd control, and then the things that slip through crowd control getting managed by the high AC tank.
Maybe they could do it in heroic levels, it's 10%, and well, I guess Reaper's supposed to kill you, so yeah, make it 20%.
Where'd she go?
Look for the lights.
Asera falls to earth. You won the battle, but the Irenaeus delayed you while the Devil Leader escaped to the Prime Material Plane. Eritrakos and his followers now threaten Eberron.
Oh yeah, besides the electric one. And Cordovan. If I hadn't just end games with my main into a AC tank, I really wouldn't care about that center.
I think we'll see. I mean, ultimately, if we are way off on it, you know, then we can further adjust it. But we'll see. Overall, I'm not personally expecting it to be too huge a deal.
I know, but it's just so disappointing. You work so hard so that you can tell somebody, I have a 383 AC, and they go, wow, that's great. But then now, you know, it just changes in the game all the time. So, you know, something will have to do it.
Sunder's a temporary effect as well, so I mean, you're still, you know, as soon as it wears off or whatever, you're going to have a better AC again.
You got to think, the tank's turtled in a mob, and if all of them have Sunder, then you're getting Sunder, and I mean, you're not stacking it, right?
Good question. I'm gonna.
Did you want this clipped?
Oh, sorry, I've already exited out of the quest.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question on stacking. Actually, I don't even want to answer that until I know for sure. But I think the answer is no, but I could be wrong there. I'm going to actually have to ask Torque about that.
Because then imagine a tank turtled up in the middle of a mob. His AC is going to go from 383 to nothing.
Yeah.
So even with the 383, you probably get hit 1 out of 10 swings. Your AC keeps going down. Probably 3 or 4 swings, you're dead.
Another question: when on the update 34? Stay tuned. Our goal is to still get it out this week. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that. Hey, since I just recalled into the Hall of Heroes from there, why don't we do Tavern Brawl?
Sounds good.
I know, right? Yeah, it's those acid blasts and stuff that are just they'll take you out.
Hey, Lidwin, I have energy resist if you'd like me to cast it on you.
So current plan on update 34, we're gonna have a meeting this afternoon on it. Could still be tomorrow, but leaning toward Friday as a likely possibility for update 34. But stay tuned. We'll announce the downtime as soon as we actually nail down the exact release date for it. How effective has Fascinate been in Reaper? My understanding is pretty effective. Someone's saying the DDO Wiki doesn't mention stacking on it either. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask. I think not, but I could be wrong.
I swear I'm coming to the quest. I just can't figure out how to teleport out of here.
Right by the quest giver for Trials of the Archons, there's a plane shifter there and plane scaler.
Oh, yeah.
And you could just go, you'll be right next to the NPC for Tavern Brawl.
Yeah, I was going up top. I forgot about this one.
Flyflung Flu raises a good point too. Mobs still do have to make a successful hit for that Sunder to take effect. That's true. Yep. Someone says, "Can can we check undead drops? I've got more than enough funerary tokens."
Because that's the largest bear I've ever seen, and I think that we should be able to be that large.
Yes. Drop a mark of a keeper. So the trick is that those treasure bag drops are not able to scale by quest level in the way that other collectible nodes can. So that's why they're kind of less useful. Any chance of reorganizing the compendium? I would like to see that done. We have it. It used to be that it would sort by default by level, and then it got shifted to sorting by default alphabetically. And I would prefer it being level. I think there's a bunch of people who would agree with me on that. So hopefully we can get to that. Someone says, what about Reaper favor? Reaper keys its favor off of Elite.
I usually go left first. How do you guys do it?
Yeah, I usually go left, right, and then left, right.
Rescue the others, says the wizard. Their magic can help.
Someone has a question. Who owns the rights to Acheron's Call? That would be Warner Brothers through Turbine. It's not something we have any ownership of nor control over.
Oh, a note.
Will I return to Shavarath? Portus, use the codex page I gave you. That will give you the arcane energy you need to collapse the pocket dimension. The freed mage attempts to disturb
Lutheran, there's a restaurant right behind you in that room.
and their combined efforts will bring the barrier down. Yes, I can feel the power, shouts the tiefling. We'll snap the spells, holding this place together like twigs.
Boom.
This is harder than it looks. Need to concentrate, and that means distraction.
Can we have armor
I like your
dyes?
last name.
I'd like to have the blood plate in gold. I would too. I think it's a little trickier than expected due to the way that works, but it's something that I would like to see.
I'm gonna pull them up.
You never know. Alright, moving over to YouTube. Sorrow Dusk needs a major XP upgrade. Its XP is terrible, so no one ever runs it, even though it's a fun chain with a great story. I run it. It's great favor run. I actually think the XP is not terrible in there, although I suppose it isn't the best XP per minute. I don't know. Perhaps. Actually, Sorrow Dusk, I mean, that's Grey Moon Call to 6. There's great XP to be had in there. I mean, you could tear through those quests. Unless I'm totally wrong. Someone...
You've found all the pages of the wizard's
I always run that stuff.
It looks like it's
But hey,
just
personal opinion, right?
deadly dull as he made it sound.
Someone is saying no subscription for DDO found when trying to log in. The most common reason for that, there are other reasons why you could be getting that error, but the most common one we see is people are mistakenly trying to log into their Lotro account for DDO or their DDO account for Lotro, or someone on the opposite game has that same username. Your username is actually something different, and so it thinks you're trying to log in to the other account. Now, there are other reasons as well, so I don't want to, you know, put the blame, as it were, on user error, but that is one of the things you probably want to check, because that is one of the more common reasons we see that no subscription found error, because it's saying, you don't have a subscription to DDO, your subscription's for Loud Trail, or vice versa. So perhaps it's worth checking to see if that might be your issue right now. Sometimes we see that particularly with people who are coming back after a break because they think they know their username, but perhaps it's not. It's like a letter off or something like that. Okay, another worker raises a great point about that +6 level range for Reaper entry. Yes, there is an XP penalty. Pretty significant one, as a matter of fact. I believe it's like 90%. Similar to other XP penalties, it's due to the base. It's based on the base XP rather than you know, modified XP. So the actual impact tends to be a little smaller than like a true 90%. But you know, basic. All right.
You're welcome.
You know, actually, I can. I think I've got on the release
No, I
notes what the exact XP penalty for that is. Let me look it up. Alright, so yes, +1 level over is -20%, +2 is 50%, +4? I don't know why I've skipped from 1, 2, 4. I'm gonna guess I'm actually off and it's 2, 3, 4, because that would make sense. So +2 would be 20, +3 would be 50, +4 would be 70, +5 is 90, and +6 is 95.
Where are we going next?
Oh heck, let's do the harbor one. Yeah, Grim and Barrett. And while I'm in the notes here, let me check the hit point. Correct. Yeah, we did. Actually, you know what I see? I do still see plus 100 hit points in Reaper Defense 4.
It was when you had the event at Evening Star and you populated the entire Evening Star full of grizzly bears.
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty great. I think that was on the Monia, wasn't it?
No, it was on one of the celebrations where you're going from server to server. You started in the harbor and you were dropping all those items, and then you had the Evening Star.
Yep. So there's a question on YouTube. I sent in a ticket. I received some kind of charging error for VIP. The site directed me to support.turbine.com. Is that the right place? Yes, for now. Turbine is still doing our support for a while here. We're actually working to train up a new group of CS agents through Daybreak.
You hear a little giggle, and then all of a sudden there were a million grizzly bears attacking everyone in Evening Star.
Indeed.
I think you guys should do more events like that, like the old school when the Devils invaded the marketplace.
I agree. As a matter of fact, I'm planning I'm planning to head back to the live servers for the 11th anniversary, so hopefully I will crash the servers slightly less this time.
Yeah. But that would be great if there was more, like Devil's Invade Market, and it takes everybody on a server X amount. You know how you guys do the Crystal Code, where you have to build up the, turn in the things to make the raids happen. If you did something with invasions like that, that would be cool.
Yeah, for sure. Man, these Abishai are just killer. Eek.
Hey, Walk Brass, are you throwing Resurrects or Raid Dead? You're throwing Resurrects. I'll quit throwing
So CSLcade was actually off in California the last couple of weeks training up that new CS staff. So that's something we are ramping up. You know, we're aware about the current
yeah,
wait
freaking
times
music
for
stuff,
support and things like that, and that's something we
Good.
warned people about, but still is not something that we want, and it's something we are working to correct as soon as we can. Jeez, I am so not prepared to go toe-to-toe with these Abishai. I'm doomed. Geronimo! 'Maybe I should just stay back and use a bow, as useless as that would make me. Ain't too useful as a soul stone either.
A thunderous roar can be heard down the hallway below.
I always thought there should be something back in these rooms.
Yeah, me too. My guess is there at one point there probably was, but I'm not quite sure what happened there.
There's knowledge in those rooms. There's knowledge.
Even Abishai need a quiet place to sleep and read. Work on their crossword puzzles.
They have to read their 50 Shades of Grey in there.
Nice.
That's what the big bed down here on the bottom is. The big giant bed's awesome, by the way. I'm gonna go
Nice.
jump on it.
Containing a large dire bear.
50 Shades of Greyhawk.
Nice. I never noticed they had a little pantry off the master suite back there. Excellent.
The bear nods and says, "One last thing."
So we get a penalty from +7 on, since the maximum is +6? No. You are not able to enter a Reaper difficulty quest if you are greater than 6 levels over the base XP of the quest on normal. And there are XP penalties for being, like I say, I think my notes are wrong, which is why they're not published yet. So they still need to pass, but I'm pretty sure it's starting
This
at
is
2
what
levels
Nita
over.
meets
So 2, 3, 4, 5,
monsters for
6.
treatment of animals.
The door slides open, revealing a fierce half-orc
Those are XP penalties for Reaper XP in particular.
prone to frightened beasts.
How much fun would it be if, like, now we had to get all of these pets out of here safely?
Someone raises a good question I can get into, which is question about Reaper. I said that Mythic and Reaper bonuses for named items would not stay when crafting, So is that the same issue with upgrading caught in the web items? If so, why did we go 6 to include that raid if it wasn't going to benefit us then? So what's happening is that some, but not all, crafting systems are not going to be able to preserve the Mythic and Reaper bonuses for named items. And the reason for that is behind the scenes there are two systems for upgrading named items. Typically the old system, let's say 2006 to 2008 era, was that it would actually delete the item and then recreate a new item with the higher tier of bonus. So that when you, quote, upgraded the item, you weren't actually upgrading the same item, you were having your item deleted and recreated behind the scenes. Because of that, they're not able to preserve the Reaper and Mythic bonuses because the system is just not able to keep up with it. However, in more recent years, we actually do apply new effects to your existing item, and those will be able to be upgraded and have their Mythic and Reaper preserved. So, particularly, I'm sure there'll be some examples that we're going to just kind of have to find out, because we have so many loot systems in the room. But, for example, I know that the Scroll Shard Seal system in particular is not going to be able to preserve those Reaper and Mythic bonuses. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every upgrade system will not be able to preserve those bonuses. For Caught in the Web in particular, I don't know which system it uses, but if without asking QA to see what their results were, but my guess is that it uses the newer system. So I think Caught in the Web items should be okay to upgrade. However, stay tuned for an actual list we're going to be putting together once, which actually I guess I need to put on my to-do list today, where we can get a better sense of what all systems are affected by this. It may just be the Scroll Shards.
Characters starting with DOL. He thinks this wolf coming up is the best thing ever.
Nice. So hopefully that answers your question. But in terms of why we didn't necessarily do the +6 cap just for Caught in the Web, although that's a nice side benefit. But it was really in response to the community urging us to expand the level range for entry, while still needing to preserve some kind of level range. Sorry, what was that?
What Monty Python fan built this end boss?
That would be No Bob.
It's okay. If the voice actor would have just gone, "Is that shrubbery?"
Drift down around you. The dire bear nods at the corridor ahead. Keeper's Glade is this way. It is protected by a large stone.
Alright, let me see. Haunted Halls, Temple of Elemental Evil items will be okay? I believe so. Because those are pretty new, so I'm pretty sure that would not be affected by it. But what I'm going to need to do, and I frankly haven't actually done that yet, is I'm going to need to work with our QA team, who presumably has a list of what is and is not affected, and then publish that list along with the release notes. It may be that in the future we'll be able to do something about it, but that's not at least going to happen initially. It's going to be a lot of engineering work, because we would have to re-engineer those crafting systems.
That's bad party member right there. Forget to give you resist again after you. That's an untimely past.
Are the art devs looking to make any of Alan Wee's cosmetics yet? No, but not because they don't like them. It's more a matter of they are exceptionally busy working on things like Dragonborn Mordor, High Elf, Ravenloft, items for the anniversaries, things
Someone
like
cast
that.
haste on me, and all of a sudden I thought I was a Zerker.
So there just hasn't really been the time to delve into any of that. Artists tend to have their own plans, but that's not to say we don't appreciate Aylin Wee's really awesome work. Ithrix has a question that I don't know the answer to about Warforged characters. Why are they penalized for positive healing, even when their character sheet says they have positive numbers in their healing amp? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I know that by default, Warforged have a penalty to positive healing because they're Warforged, but I don't know quite why it would still be a penalty if you've been able to overcome it, if that's what you're asking about.
There you go.
No Vorpal rabbits in DDO as of yet.
Nice use of the turret.
For sure. Ah. Run away! Run away! Yep. Can I say what goodies to expect for the anniversary event? I don't want to spoil it, but it's something we do have plans for. I mean, I guess you could call Dragonborn a goodie, but in terms of freebies, we do have gifts that we're working on. We pretty much know what we're going to do there. Any news about what will happen to the Players' Council? Yes, as soon as I actually carve out the time to do it, which I have not had the time to do, I'm going to remove some of the Players' Council just to shift things up, and I'm going to be changing the way the Players' Council works from a formal yearly tenure thing to more of a fluid, constantly, whoops, going in and out sort of thing. Yep. So there's several ways I'm going to be doing that. Some people are going to be on the Players' Council for a long time. You know, for example, if we really do like their feedback and we're getting a lot of benefit from them, we're not just going to arbitrarily kick them like we do currently when their year's up. But on the reverse side, too, we know there are a lot of people who are interested in providing Players' Council level of feedback, but not necessarily on a long-term basis. You know, say they just want, it's like, hey, when you get to the Druid thing, I want to be in that on that conversation. And part of what we're trying to do is facilitate that, so that if you have, say, personal areas of expertise, we can bring you on to the council, you can provide that sort of feedback, and then, you know, you can move on with the rest of your life, that sort of thing. So it's going to be a more fluid group than it was the past few years. And I'm hoping to start taking applications. Well, I was going to do it this week, but I just ran out of time. And I'm clearly not going to have time to do it in the next couple of days. So maybe next week I can start taking applications in that. And we'll have more information about how to apply and what sorts of things you need to do as we get a little bit closer to it. Ugh, sorry. All right, I think that's going to probably wrap it up here for the live stream. In terms of running quests, I think I'm going to just pop over to the release notes here quick before I call it a show and give people a little sneak peek on that. So.
Awesome, thanks, man. It's always fun.
Yep. Per usual, I will get you guys a Turbine Point code in the game a little bit later on. Hopefully today, maybe tomorrow. Any potion to increase the chance of finding Mythic and Reaper bonuses? No. Not at this point. I would never say never on that, but at this point it's not something we really want to do, because reasons. We want it to be a rare thing. Please. Darn it. Does not like. I used to be able to put that up, and now I'm not quite sure why it ain't working. There we go. Burp. Do it the old-fashioned way. The screen capture. All right. Shit. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to formally do it that way. Okay. Alright, here are the release notes for Update 34. We do have the new free dungeon, the Reaper difficulty stuff. We already went through the champion changes where they're going to have multiple tiers. Tier 1 on hard, Tier 1 or 2 on elite, Tier 3 up to Tier 3 on Reaper. You'll be able to see what kind of champion they are. So none of that's new, that's all Lamania stuff. Oh, here we go. Rangers' paralyzing arrows will no longer refresh their duration when applied to an old copy. This gives monsters, frankly, a small window to make a saving throw. Because what's happening right now is every time a paralyzing arrow procs, it puts like, I can't remember what it is, 6-second, 10-second paralyzation on there. And people are able to proc it enough where it's just a constant thing. So now it's not going to refresh, so it'll be like 10 seconds. They'll get that one opportunity to get a save. And then it'll proc again, presumably, because it's constantly procking otherwise. We fixed an issue with Cleric's Martyrdom and Paladin's Eternal Defender, where they're not removing undead charges reliably. There may be an issue with Martyrdom that I know that we're still working on. Blade Forge's Power of the Forge is now 20 melee range power instead of 20% damage, shares a cooldown with other action boosts. We do have the action boost change where human action boost also is going to have a shared cooldown. It will provide an additional tier of charges, though. They're independent charges, but a shared cooldown. So none of that's new. Let's see. We already know about the Hurl Through Hell thing being blocked by Death Wards. I know that's public already. Draconic Incarnation's Breath Weapon attacks will now count as evocation and get metamagic feats. Master of Knowledge will no longer proc on spells other than the one it's intended to. Yeah, here we go. The generic Sunder Effects feature on many melee monsters now apply a 10% armor class penalty instead of a -4 penalty to scale better into epic levels. They have also fixed an issue with DCs not scaling on older versions of the Sunder Effects. Yeah, see, I've got the Reaper XP overlevel penalty, but I'm pretty sure it's wrong. Rather than 1, 2, 4, it should be 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, and I'll correct that as soon as I'm off the air here. And there's the penalty there. We've given the trees names, so rather than melee spells, whatever it was, it's now Dread Adversary, Dire Thaumaturge, and Grim Barricade for the tank. As you can see, we scaled back significantly some of the things in there, particularly as it applies outside of Reaper difficulty. Particularly when it comes to spell DCs in the core trees. Like I said, I still see the hit point bonus in the Grim Barricade, but I'm going to have to double check on that, because that doesn't seem right to me. But maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I need to get rid of that public notice. I don't think that's correct anymore. Alright, so that's what we got here for the release notes that are going to be published perhaps as soon as tomorrow, maybe Friday. So, there we go. That's where we sit. All right, and thank you for watching. Let me change that. Sorry, there we go. Thank you for watching the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/Dungeons&Dragons/live. We do have DDO as she is played starting at 4 o'clock today, and you can find our full schedule over on Twitch, on the Twitch page. We do put the archives up on both Twitch and YouTube. Just a couple of questions before I wrap things up. Thimble says, any chance for the Lioness figurine to be sold on the DDO market later this year? No. Is there any chance in the future? We don't want to close the door on it, but we have absolutely no plans to do so. We're deliberately avoiding the use of the term exclusive for legal reasons because, you know, just on the off chance in the future we might want to bring it back for a different promotion, say, or another VIP promotion, something like that. But it's not going to be put in the store or the market anytime soon. And yeah, so you can find out more information on ddo.com/free VIP gift, or is it free gift? I can't remember. You can find a link to it in the Chronicle. But you'll log in between February 6th and March 13th. If you're a VIP, it'll be automatically applied to your account. Do Dragonborn have tails? Yes. Alright, and let's see, anything else on, and that's it with YouTube. Alright, thanks for watching. I'm going to get some lunch here. I will see you back on Friday at noon, right here on twitch.tv/DDO stream. Have fun, everyone.